Welcome to Heat Check, the podcast where we dive deep into volleyball. And today we're going to be talking about the North American college system. So, United States, Canada, and not just the college volleyball system. We're also going to be talking a little bit about their club and a little bit about their pathway, I think, because we have teammates there, and we know kind of how they developed into the college system / university system.
Yeah, we'll also be talking about how to potentially get recruited from Australia, all the steps and processes, different pathways that you can take to reach that level.
Before we start though, quick shout out to TeamFirst as a sponsor for this podcast series.
How does a typical player from the US or in Canada kind of get recruited into a college university team from high school?
I think for athletes in United States or Canada, the way they do it is they have these big tournaments. So whether it's club or high school, and usually these tournaments, there'll be college coaches, university coaches, all these coaches coming to scout, and they'll contact you, or you'll contact these coaches via email and send them your film or whatever, or they'll see you play. And I think, that's one of the main ways. You just get scouted in person at these big tournaments. Yeah,
for sure. And these tournaments are massive.
Yeah,
way bigger than anything we have here.
They're 20, so I think I've seen some videos of 30 volleyball courts.
Yeah, or even
especially
more.
in the States.
Yeah.
Just huge venues.
They just hire out convention centers.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about their club system first. How do the Canadians and Americans do their club system different than us here?
So club season for North Americans would be, they would run during the summer.
Yeah.
So when the college is in off season, and typically there's no weekly competitions like what we have here, the Sydney Volleyball League and all the leagues around Australia. It's weekend competitions. But for them, I think they're mostly training for a big tournament. So they train, I think, for 8 weeks and then play a big tournament, one after the other. And that's how kind of club is run there.
Yeah. They, at least for the club when I was coaching at Brandon, the local club that we coached, we were training twice a week. Yeah. And this was from 13s, athletes aged 13 to 18. If you think about it, imagine starting from when you're 13 and you're training twice a week for say 5 years. You play until you're 18 years old. That's a lot of trainings. Yeah. And one of the big differences is that they don't train for weekly games, which is why I think some of them can afford to go to trainings twice a week because they don't have that game on the weekend. Yeah. They just have these big tournaments, not necessarily organized by the state volleyball program. Even competitions organized by universities. We had one competition. I know our club team would travel to close colleges or universities to play in their organized tournaments.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the clubs in Canada are junior of the college team. So it'd be junior Bisons. Or, what's another example?
I think Providence Pilots as well. They have their own junior team. Yeah, that's another way you can get scouted, I guess, is if you go to these junior university teams where they play as club. Yeah,
you're training in their venue as well.
Yeah, you're training in their venue. Their coaches. You're getting coached by the players.
Yeah.
So it's you get taught the same systems
I remember when we went to play nationals,
Yeah.
CCAA nationals. It was in Manitoba,
Yeah.
and we had like a few days of training before the tournament started, and we trained at the University of Manitoba, and all the junior Bisons, like those club teams, they came in to train, and we kind of got to see the structure, and I think they were training at least 2 or 3 times a week, just getting so many reps,
Yeah.
and that was the biggest thing. And like we were hearing about like those potential players and where they're committing to college and stuff, and I think it's really good for development, in my opinion. Just
Yeah, like the number of trainings per week.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like the coaches have connections,
Yeah.
so that way, yeah, it's a really solid pathway.
Yeah.
So how early do you think athletes kind of prepare if they want to play college? Like when do you think they even get that idea?
It's never too early for athletes to start thinking about college.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my answer, because like we see athletes who are 12, 13 years old and they're like, oh, like I want to play college. But in terms of like actually it becoming a realistic dream, I think like in my opinion, it'd probably be around 16 or 17. Like when you're in that like second from top age group,
Yeah.
like that's where you really start talking to coaches. And because that's the other thing, like college coaches, or at least in Canada, in the U Sport League, you're not allowed to pre-sign players in the club level. Like you have to wait until they're, I think, at least 17U or under 17s before you can like get them to sign a contract or whatever, saying like, oh, they're gonna commit to your thing, your college. So yeah, I think around that time is probably when athletes start seriously thinking about playing university or college level.
Yeah. I think for here in Australia, I think you'd want to start preparing around year 10, year 11.
Yeah.
But personally, I didn't even know much about college until I was about 16 as well. Before then, it was like, oh, after this, if I get good enough, do I just play pro? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was that much of an option for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you, I mean, you mentioned like you didn't really know about going overseas to play college and you just go play pro. What would you say if you had the option in year 12, if you had the option to go pro and college, what would be the main like pros and cons of going pro versus college?
I think if I was to, push to play pro straight away, I would go into a very entry league level, like in the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
And the level I don't think is that far off. That level is that far off college itself. And for me personally, I wanted to study, get a degree and stuff. So that was my main reason why I didn't try to push for pro straight away.
Yeah.
It's definitely an option for me, or like an ambition for the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree. Like when you're thinking about going pro straight out of high school, like even if you're really, really good, the chances are you're going to start in a pretty low level club league.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of a risk, I'd say, because you could pop off and you just get scouted to like a top team. But if you're in a bottom league popping off, it's still pretty risky. Like it still take a couple years to like reach the upper leagues in pro. But I think with college, like you get a degree. So it's like if you get injured, you can't play anymore. And that's a big thing. Like if you get injured, you can't play, you're not going to get paid, right? So that college or that education is going to like be a safety net. And yeah, like once you finish college or university, the chances are you're a better player and you also have experience in the league where pros know the level. So like scouts know the level in U Sports, or scouts know the level in CCAA. So when you finish and you say, oh, like I was a first team, second team all-star in U Sport or CCAA, like the scouts for clubs know roughly the level that it takes to have those accomplishments. Right. Yeah.
The only con I would say is by the time you're finishing college, you'd be what, 23, 24,
Yeah.
and you've kind of missed out on that pro experience that other guys might have been rising up the ranks throughout those years. So you could potentially be missing out on that. But that's one of the biggest cons I can think of.
Yeah. But you do start, like I'd say you probably start in a higher league than if you were to like go straight into
it,
pro. Yeah,
for sure. And most guys start with like unpaid
Yeah.
contracts and just, residence and
Yeah.
food covered, but not much of a salary.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of build.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've talked a lot about, I think, the Canadian structure. But do you want to talk a little bit about how college volleyball in the States is structured? Like NCAA, NAIA, JUCO, stuff like that?
Yeah, I was actually really interested in going to America when I was looking to sign. And so I did a lot of research. I think I know quite a bit about the American system. So in America, there's, I think, three different divisions. No, organizations, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's obviously the NCAA, there's the NAIA, and then there's the NCAA like JUCO, the junior college.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a separate thing, but so there's those three different things, and so we'll just start from JUCO, which is junior college. I think that might be the lowest level. I'm not too sure about how it's structured, but they have their own tournament, and a lot of girls I know from Australia have gone to JUCO, committed to JUCO, and I think you spend a year or two there getting a diploma, and most people I know have committed or like gone there and then transferred into NCAA or NAIA.
Yeah, because I think you're only, you're only allowed to spend like 2 or 3 years. Like once your diploma is only 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you only ever stay in JUCO for like maximum 3 years, and then you transfer to like wherever, college or wherever.
Yeah. And it's just good to get your foot in the door, getting to America. And you're still playing weekly games, you're training every day, and it looks like it's good development. And I know that exists for men's as well. So that's NCJAA,
Yeah.
JUCO. And then you've got NAIA, which the main benefit of NAIA, even though the level is pretty similar to NCAA Division 2, is that there's less restrictions. So more scholarship money could be offered by the school, and there's no restrictions from the organization itself on that. I'd say that's the biggest plus to NAIA, but the main thing about colleges is that like you can't just say NCAA Div 2 is at this certain level, because there's top teams, there's bottom teams. I'd say the top teams in the NAIA can compete against the top teams in NCAA Division 2. So that's the level there. And the biggest plus side is less restrictions, but there's probably less of a structure in the schools itself. And there's also less restrictions in terms of like international players, that kind of stuff. And then you've got NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3. So starting from Division 3, these schools are not allowed any internationals, I believe, or any international scholarships. No international scholarships for NCAA Division 3. I think most of these schools are academic, more academic focused, and the level is not bad at all, especially in the top teams. Some pretty solid teams in NCAA Division 3, I think. And then you got NCAA Division 2. They actually compete in the same tournaments as NCAA Division 1. So I don't think they have a separate tournament yet. So NCAA Division 3 is its own tournament, own competition, but NCAA Division 2 play against Division 1 schools. So I'd say that's pretty good for their experience. Because I've heard that there's a bit of a struggle with NCAA Division 1 schools right now. Like there's not enough around the States, like especially compared to the women's.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know too much about it, but
yeah, there's a new foundation, like a volleyball foundation, by the USA coordinator, the old UCLA coach.
I'm not too sure. I know they're restructuring NCAA.
Yeah.
In terms of like internationals. I think like before how it was with scholarships, at least with NCAA Division 1, I believe, is you get, for volleyball, each school gets 2.5 full ride worth of money. And it's up to the school or the coach how they split that scholarship money.
Yeah.
I think it's 2.5 or 3.5, but it's not a lot. So like, if you're going to the States, it's pretty rare that you're gonna get a full ride, like especially as an international student.
Yeah.
Because like if you think about it, they only have what, like 2.5, 3.5, and if they're spending one like full ride's worth on you, like that's like it's a big commitment for them.
Yeah.
So usually it's like they'll split it up amongst the team, and yeah, so it's a little bit different to the Canadian system. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're trying to change that as well.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they are changing it. I'm not too sure exactly how. But yeah, this past year they've changed it. So a lot of teams are looking to restructure their international roster now, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just to get back on what I was saying about NCAA Division 1. So John Sproul from UCLA.
Yeah.
So he was an old UCLA coach. Now is like the head of volleyball USA.
Yeah.
So he's started something called the First Point Volleyball Foundation, and they're trying to grow Division 1 men's volleyball, introducing new schools and providing funding for them. So a lot of new schools are popping up. Like one I can think of is like Manhattan has a school, volleyball Division 1 school now.
Right.
So they're trying to grow the sport in that way, because I don't think there's enough men's Division 1 teams.
Yeah.
But the men's Division 1 teams that do exist are very high level. And most of the players that come out of there go straight to a high level pro league.
Yeah.
But it's very competitive, like especially as an international.
Yeah.
This is something just more general for Canadian colleges, universities, and American colleges and stuff. But as an international, you really want to make an impact, because otherwise, why don't they just get a domestic student, right?
Especially in the States, because they have so much talent and like so much population there. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like the build of the athletes there is like tall and athletic and
with a vertical, and the way they play, their play style is like high, hit hard at everything, and like big plays. I think that's the American system. So like, I mean, for myself, when I was looking to go overseas, like I'm a relatively shorter passer hitter, so like it would have been very, very tough for me to convince coaches to be like, hey, like, would you like to give me scholarship money to go over there? Because like, they're not really looking, most of the teams aren't looking for like a more skilled outside. They're looking for people who can like score them points. We can talk a little bit on like, because we talked a lot about how men's Division 1 or men's NCAA was pretty small, but for women's, it's like complete opposite. Yeah.
Like in America, the women's volleyball is huge. It's like, I don't even know how many times bigger than the men's volleyball.
Yeah.
But I haven't looked too much into it, but there's a lot of opportunities in the States, especially to play in a women's league. Like they even have they have their own pro women's league now in the States.
They do. There's actually like two or
Like,
three.
yeah, they made it like I think a couple years ago, and I think it's been pretty successful. Just because there's so many like women players there, and the level is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much money that goes into
Yeah.
the programs there as well. But that also means it's just way more competitive if you want to make like a Division 1 school.
Yeah.
I can only think of like one athlete from Australia that's playing NCAA Division 1
Yeah.
or committed to one.
Yeah.
And the rest is like, we have a lot of beach players going over.
Yeah.
You know, Hawaii, I think.
Yeah, Hawaii, UCLA, a couple other ones as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
That's for beach.
Yeah, that's for beach.
Yeah.
Because like Australia's pretty, like we're a lot better at beach volleyball than we are in indoor volleyball
Yeah,
in
for
terms
sure.
of ranking.
Mhm.
We can talk a little bit about the Canadian system now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I guess I'll
Um,
talk about U Sport.
Let me start with CCAA first.
Okay, yeah.
So in Canada, there's colleges and unis, and they're different. So colleges tend to be a bit smaller, and usually that's where you get your diplomas. So you stay there for a year or two, and then transfer to a proper university. So less just students at the school, so less money in the school. But we've got our own league. It's called CCAA, and there's like I think 5 different conferences.
Yeah, one
And
for each province.
Basically one for each
Yeah.
province, the CCAA, and let's just say the level of each conference varies, but the strongest conference right now is the Alberta Conference, which is ACAC, and then there's the Pac West, which I'm in. It's a pretty solid league as well. Manitoba's pretty strong, but yeah. So there's like a different conference for each province, and the CCAA has better restrictions, no, less restrictions for internationals. So I think we have 3 as our limit compared to U Sport, which is 2.
Yeah.
And also the degrees and diplomas at colleges are a lot cheaper. That's why people tend to go there for the first 2 years and then transfer, because unis, especially for internationals, can be quite expensive if you're not on full scholarship. I think that's the main things about colleges. So I'd say you can compare the highest level of Canadian college to like NCAA Division 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about U Sport now?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, in U Sport, there's different conferences. There used to be 4, I think, but now I believe there's only 3. So there's Canada West, there's OUA, and there's RSEQ. And the main difference between them is like 1, location, but 2, the level. Like I think it's, at least for people in Canada, it's pretty like clear which conference is better, and that's Canada West. Like I think for the past 10, 20 years, like the winners for the U Sport Championship have all been from Canada West.
Yeah.
And which is why, like, for the U Sport Championship, the way they divide the places for the championship is like, I don't want to say dependent on how that conference has gone in the past, but I believe Canada West, so there's 1 spot for the host, no matter what conference they're from. And then there's 3 spots for Canada West. And then I believe it's 2 spots for OUA and 1 spot for RSEQ.
I think that depends.
1 or 2 spots.
Yeah.
But yeah, Canada West gets the most spots in the U Sport Championship. So like if you're looking for the equivalent of NCAA Division 1 in America, the equivalent in Canada would definitely be Canada West. That being said, there are universities in Canada West and in RSEQ and in OUA that can compete with each other. So like maybe teams that aren't as good in Canada West, or teams that are better in RSEQ, or teams that are better in OUA. Like the U Sport Championship we had in Brandon, like Sherbrooke made it to the bronze medal match, lost to Saskatchewan. So it was Brandon, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and then Sherbrooke. And then it was like like Windsor, and then Windsor or Queens, and then teams out east. So yeah, for like athletes in Canada, even if they're out in the east, most of them tend to try and go to Canada West.
Yeah, that's what I heard actually.
Yeah.
The biggest talents were actually from Ontario.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
at the club level.
Yeah.
Like there's a club called Pakenham.
Yeah.
Pakenham?
Yeah. Pakenham.
Pakenham, and they have debatably the best talents in Canada coming out of club, and they all go to Canada West, and not many stay in OUA.
Yeah.
And I think there's been talks about why, but I don't think OUA offer the same amount of like scholarship money that they do in Canada West, and the level is just not as high. When you have schools in Canada West, such as like the Trinity Spartans, and
Alberta.
like Alberta Golden Bears, they kind of like set the standard of Canada West, so it's definitely tough.
Yeah. In terms of the scholarship, how the scholarships work with Canada West is each university gets not just in Canada West, in U Sports. Each university gets 2 international spots. So like it doesn't matter how much money you want to spend on your international athlete, but each university gets 2 international spots. So it's I want to say a bit tougher to get into Canada West as a international athlete, because even if you're really, really good, if your timing is like off, like say you have this university in Canada U Sport that you want to go to, but they just signed 2 internationals that are in their first year. Like no matter how good you are, you're not gonna be able to play for them for the next like 2 or 3 years. Unless you want a redshirt. And redshirting basically means you train with them, you can stay with them, but you're never allowed to put on a jersey, so you can't ever play like an official game.
Like a training player.
So it's a little bit of like luck in that sense in terms of timing. So it is a little bit tougher, but it just depends on the university as well, how much scholarship money they're willing to give for an international athlete.
That's why I would recommend when you're looking to recruit and you're looking at your college, just look through the roster and see like the positions and who you're kind of competing against, how many years they have left. So generally it's like 4 or 5 years for the whole college career. So.
Because you get 5 years of playing eligibility. Whether or not you use the 5 years to play is up to you, but you have 5 years to play. The clock starts ticking once you play your first official match, or you turn 23, I think it is.
I'm not too sure about the age,
but yeah. Anyway, so you get 5 years of eligibility.
And even if you transfer from CCAA to U Sport, those years still count.
So if you play 2 years in CCAA, you're only allowed to play 3 in U Sport. So we've talked about the university and college system in the States and Canada, but how do you think that's affected like younger athletes in Canada and the States? Like athletes in the club level as opposed to here?
It definitely pushes them more. It's just a clear goal, right? For here, I honestly see like so many talented athletes who just don't find like a good contract, or don't even look, or they're just not informed enough about all the different pathways. So a bit of wasted talent here, but for them it's just a straight path to go to the next level. So that's definitely a big thing. But I'd want to say that the biggest thing is actually the amount of money that's in the sport, even in Canada, like obviously in the US. But there's just so much money at the club level and at the college level. Like that's something we don't really see here. Like we don't have whole teams like traveling across, you know, the whole like province to play another team, and that's all funded by the program. Like it's all coming out of our pocket here. So the less fortunate athletes who are like financially struggling in Australia, there's just like less opportunities for sure.
Yeah, I think definitely I agree with your point on like there's a clear goal. Like at games in like whenever we play regular season games, I'm sure it's the same for you. But whenever we play these games, I'd say at around like a quarter to a half of the crowd is local volleyball kids who play club, and like they come and they pay money to watch us play, and it's pretty cool to think about. Like these guys are paying money to like buy tickets, come and sit and watch, and like not only that, like it gives them the image or the level of playing that they want to reach. So like yeah, like they know in order to play CanWest, like it's like right in front of their eyes. Like I need to be at these guys' level, and I think it's a big motivator, especially if you're a club athlete in Canada and you have like a local university team. Like if you're going to that university, you're like, oh, like I want to play for that university. Yeah, I'd say it's like a very big motivator. Yeah.
So let's just compare, not so much like the goals and stuff, but just the skill level overall. Let's compare the club level here compared to the club level in Canada and the States.
It's a dangerous question.
Yeah.
I think in my opinion, to start, I think backing up what I said before, because they train twice a week and they're doing that from the moment they start playing volleyball, like club level volleyball. Like they get taught the fundamentals and all that like so much earlier. And even at school, like they're training at school like twice a week probably, I'd say. So if you think about it, it's like already 4 trainings a session per week, which is probably more trainings than I'd say most athletes here have. Yeah, like they just have so many more opportunities to train and get better.
I agree with your point. I think in terms of talent and athleticism, I think we also like match that. Like we have so many athletes here that have come from other sports and they're already athletic and stuff, but it's just the amount of reps. Like yeah, I know a lot of like club athletes back in Vancouver that were training, you know, 2 days for club, and then they had their school season on. Like it's non-stop volleyball for them all year round.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. It's just the touches. Yeah,
and I think even commitment to the sport as well, because I know like a lot of my teammates who are on my team now, they tell me like stories of how they had teammates or how they themselves would drive like 2 hours to go to club practice twice a week, and it's like, holy shit, like that you guys are driving 2 hours one way, by the way, because like in Canada, I mean, for us, it's not the same because we're in such a densely populated area, but in Canada, it's a lot more like spread out evenly, I'd say. So like, say we take like Alberta, for example, right? So if you have Edmonton, which is one of the big cities, like athletes who are living like an hour and a half away from the city would be driving down like twice a week just to train with the club. And like parents are more than happy to do that because they see how passionate their kids are and how much their kids love the sport. And I think it's just that level of commitment as well that they have over us in terms of like that age level.
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially in the club scene in Sydney, I think we're growing a lot. Like there's more participants in, YSVL every year. And we also have a lot of like talent at the top of those age groups that are, representing Phoenix, pushing to play overseas as well in college. So I'd say we have the talent. It's just we're missing that structure that Canada and the US has. Just the amount of clubs they have as well, venues. It all makes a difference at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely like, we're slowly getting there. But like the fact is that we don't have the like same thing here.
Yeah, I just think that the sport isn't as big of a priority here, like compared to the other sports we have. So a lot of the indoor venues are, booked out by other sports all across Sydney, and I'd say all across Australia as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been playing college for 2 years now. Oops, that was Siri. Okay. So you've been playing college for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And how do you think training, 4 days a week with gym, SNC, and games on Friday, Saturday, or like Saturday, Sunday, how has that kind of like shaped you as an athlete?
I'd say the biggest change for me, or the biggest learning curve for me, was having those games on the weekend. Like, cause like I went to ABA for 2 years before I went to college, university in Canada. So like training like 5-6 times a week wasn't like that big of a difference for me. Cause it's like, I was already used to it in terms of, like what I need mentally, how like in terms of like the stress and the load and balancing, studying and all that, which is another point we need to touch on.
Yep.
But like in terms of training, it was, the training load was pretty similar to what I was used to. But having those games on the weekend was like a little bit different, because you need to be fresh for those games. Like you need to be playing your best for those games, and you're doing that weekend, like every single weekend, right? And like the biggest challenge, I think, for everyone at that level is, can you do that like every single weekend? Like sure, one weekend you might have like a crazy game, but then are you able to do that again and again and again, right? So it's that consistency, and that like I'm still trying to figure out.
So for me, I think I'm on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Like when I was here, we're training like at the time I think once a week, and then like Sunday games, and but I was actually really looking forward to training that much and playing that much on the weekends and stuff. So I was actually really excited before I left, but it definitely like it hit me like a truck, basically. Like I really wanted to play that much volleyball, but when you are and you're training that much, it really takes a toll on you. And that's why they say your first year in college or university, it's like make or break.
Yeah.
Some guys, they just can't commit to all of that. But luckily, I had some really good seniors on my team that supported me and helped me throughout my first year. And I'm just keen on going back for my second year.
Yeah, I think it's not just like physically as well, like mentally and physically.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, like if you're only training once a week here and then you're going overseas, then like, and you're training 4 times a week, 5 times a week, there's a high chance you're going to get injured, and on top of that, you're going to have you're going to have your classes, and you're going to have to study, and then it becomes like a mental stress as well. But then you can't really, like you got to find ways to put it aside, because then you have training in the afternoon, right? So it's this constant like cycle, and like seniors or we call them veterans, same for you guys, but the vets, play a big part in helping rookies adjust to that.
Yeah, it's so
especially
important.
if they're not used to it. Yeah.
So important to have like support systems like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We had like physios for our injuries, and we had like MPC,
Mm.
like a mental performance coach, and those sessions were so valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next point, what were your trainings like? Because I know here, at least when I was training a lot, it was a lot of technical, skill-based drills, and you'll be like, oh, focusing on like I'm really working on doing this with my footwork or this with my platform. But then when I went over, we worked almost completely in systems and gameplay.
Yep.
Like every single training was we would have a 2.5 hour training or 2 hour training every day. 1 hour or at least 45 minutes of that would be gameplay or like gameplay situations. And yeah, I think that was a big difference for me when like I went over there. I'm not sure if it was the same for you.
No, it was exactly the same. I
Yeah.
think when you're here, it's all about like developing your fundamental skills and all the sort of like the basic stuff. Even at in our Prems team, we're still working on ball control all the sessions. But when I was in my college team, like last season, mostly never skill development. It's
Yeah.
all just repetitions.
Yeah.
Working on like serve receive reps, serving reps, and then from there, the only real change is like managing the load. So like right before game day, you wouldn't be jumping as much. It'd just be like serve and pass, but like 50% jumping. So yeah, not much like skill development in that sense because they kind of expect you to have already developed that throughout club level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
they
a
also
big thing.
don't have like the luxury or I'd say the time to take care of like every single athlete that comes in, and like there's no more babysitting.
Yeah, for sure.
Like to put it frankly, there's no more babysitting when you're at that level because the priority is to have the best 7 people, like the best starting lineup on the court ready to play every single weekend. And like if you're like the third, fourth guy off the bench, then like they don't, it's a bit rough to say, but like you gotta find ways to develop outside of regular trainings because the priority is no longer necessarily you, it's the team. And yeah.
That's one of my biggest advice to the upcoming juniors here. You've got to polish your fundamentals while you're here. It's really important.
Yeah.
Because then when you're over there, you can work on being as physical as possible because of all the S&C and like the weight room sessions. But just like polishing your fundamentals is super important.
Especially in like a game situation. Like a lot of times we can, as like younger athletes, we can do the skills perfectly in a training or in a controlled environment. But when it comes to like a game where you're under pressure, like can you still do the same thing? Or if you're like, if you've made an error in like the point before or 2 errors in the points before, like can you still back it up and like execute?
And that's sort of the things that athletes here, I believe, don't really think about enough. Like we're always trying to just go for the clips, like how many bounces can I get this game? But it's really that kind of stuff that you have to start thinking about now if you want to pursue college volleyball, pro volleyball in the future. Because everyone, at a certain level, everyone can hit.
Yeah.
Everyone can serve 100 kilometers. But it's all the other stuff that come into play.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because like, I mean, one thing that really struck me, because I was like, oh, like I can touch like 340, right? And when I went over there and we did testing, like I touched 340 and I was like, oh, like that's like what, 11.2 in feet and inches. And I was like, oh, that's like pretty good. But then when everyone else did their testing, it was like 11.4, 11.5, 11.7, or like basically like 350, around 350 or higher was like the average. So especially if you're going into like a high division, you have to realize that the people around you are like as good as you, if not better. And that's just the reality of the level of indoor volleyball in Australia, I think. Like,
Yep.
yeah, and I think that's just how it is right now.
So hopefully that culture shifts a bit,
Yeah.
it changes a bit.
Yeah. It is changing little by little.
Yeah,
Little by little.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, something that I thought about was your trip to California. So I know, the Brandon Bobcats went down to Cali
Yeah.
during, what was it, Christmas break?
Yeah. Over
And you got
Christmas,
to
New Year's.
play a few NCAA teams. So can you quickly give a recap on how that went?
Yeah, so it was a really good trip. We were fortunate enough to be able to play a couple of the NCAA teams there. So we played Concordia, so CUI, I think.
Yep.
We played UC Irvine, and we also played Vanguard. I believe all of them were in the NCAA division. One or two.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it was a really good experience to see the level over there, because we played UC Irvine, and it was like a really tough match. They were like really, really good because they're one of the top teams in America.
Yep.
They're one of the top teams in America, and the other teams were not as good, but still you could tell the talent and the level that they played at was not lower by any means.
I also noticed the NCAA benches are just so big.
Yeah,
So much bigger.
Yeah, I think part of the restructuring that they're doing is to reduce that.
Okay.
I think they're reducing the team sizes.
Right.
But yeah, so I guess that leads into my next point, which is their in-season matches work in a different way in Canada.
Oh yes.
Completely different. Because in Canada, you have, in your conference, you have these teams, and you'll play each team twice over the weekend. So one on Friday, one on Saturday. And you'll have your season draw at the start before the season even starts, right? But then in the States, how it works, correct me if I'm wrong, is they have in-conference matches and out-of-conference matches. So they have to play X number of in-conference matches against teams that are in their conference. And that will just depend on the coaches and how they timetable it. So say I'm at UCLA or whatever, and I'm contacting this other university in my conference, and I'm like, hey, you want to play a game next Thursday? They're like, okay, that works for us. Then you just play a game on Thursday, right? And you have to play a certain number of in-conference matches, but you also have to play a certain number of games with teams outside your conference. And for us, when we played CUI, that counted as a out-of-conference match.
Oh really?
Yeah. So it any team out of your conference, I think you can apply for it to be in actually count towards your record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the big difference.
And then with your record, you can qualify for the nationals and stuff.
Yeah. So it's not, in that sense, it's a little bit less structured because you're not always playing Friday, Saturday or Thursday, Friday. You could be playing on a Tuesday.
And also the seasons itself. So in Canada, you start preparing around September, getting your team together, and then the season goes from October to March.
Yeah,
So
March, April.
Yeah, that's the
March.
time frame for Canada. Whereas in the States, for men's volleyball, I think it only really gets started, it only really starts around January.
Yeah.
And then it's so compact because
Yeah.
it's already done by April, the whole national tournament. And then for the women's NCAA, it would be like just before that. So it would finish around December, I think, and then start around like September. So that's just the difference in our timetables or like time frames.
Yeah. Let's jump back a little bit. So back to the point with academics, because I think that's a big thing for athletes here, especially because a lot of athletes who are in year 10 or year 11 and they want to play volleyball, but they're going into year 12 and they're like, oh, like I can't play anymore. I gotta study for HSE, right? How did you balance, or what were some things you did to help you balance studying and playing when you were in college?
While I was in college?
Yeah.
It was just being as organized as possible, and really dedicating like certain parts of my day to getting stuff done. Like for me, the more I was organized, the better my grades were for last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for myself, I think I actually had a little bit more consciousness of like the balance of academics and playing when I went over to university. Like I think in year 11 and 12, like when I was in Canberra, I just didn't have time to do anything else but study and play volleyball, honestly. Like I didn't really go out. I didn't I didn't really like do anything else. It was pretty sad, but like that was just like the reality of it. But I think in college you have more time, but you can't be wasting any of that, because yes, there are a lot of support systems at universities. Like if you
like tutors.
Yeah, tutors. You can email your profs, because like the sports are so big there in the university system that you can like, and a lot of my professors like watch my games.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, good job, good win on the weekend. And I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, thanks. But like, it's that connection where if you have an assignment due the next week and you have like a game and you're like overloaded, you can email them and be like, oh, hey, like, can I get an extension?
Yeah, they're a lot
and
more
they're a
lenient.
lot more like lenient / like supportive.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's like what really helped as well. And yeah, just not like wasting time, because especially during the week,
it's really easy to.
Yeah, it's really easy to like finish morning trainings and then just like go to the couch at home and just like brain rot for like 2 hours even, and then you already have afternoon training, and then it's like then you just don't have time to do anything.
It was all about staying organized for me, just prioritizing certain stuff. Let's talk about our national tournaments, because we both went to nationals. I went to nationals for CCAA. You went for U-Sport. So I'll quickly talk about how our national tournament went. So actually this season overall, like we were pretty like we were like underdogs in a way, because like there was like a coaches poll at the start, and I think we were ranked like 5th out of the 6 teams in our conference. So I think from that moment our team felt like we had something to prove, and especially in the second half of the season we had a really bad record in the first half before Christmas break, but after it really just like flipped, and we were like undefeated for like a certain amount of games, and we were looking really strong. And then we went to the semi-finals for our conference, and we beat we were the 4th seed, and then we ended up beating the 1st seed, which was VIU, and it was their home ground, so it was just super hype. And like just like super emotional when we got the win, like seeing everyone like I guess in a way like people had doubts, but like just seeing that we kind of proved everyone wrong in a way. So that was the first accomplishment, and then we beat one of the strongest teams in our conference, who was consistently first the whole season in the finals for our conference. So we got the first seed in Pac West, and then there was another bid, which the second place got for our conference, and then we went to nationals in Manitoba.
Yeah, I went to watch that.
Yeah, you were there to watch that. And because we were the first seed in our conference, and I think we were regarded as the second highly ranked like conference, right? So we were on the other side of the number one Alberta team, which I said previously was the strongest conference, right? So we actually had a pretty easy quarterfinals and semifinals. And then when we met the top team in Alberta in the finals, it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. We lost in 3, but still was just really good effort from our team throughout the whole season to even get to where we did. I think it was like, it's a bit historical. Like, I don't know how many times. I think we only did what we did once, like ever in our program. So I think it sets the standard for our next season. And our starting setter, which was Elijah Kim, he ran the show the whole of last season, and just kind of, I was like looking up to him, and I think I want to do exactly what he did for this season, right?
Plus win
nationals, and yeah, super grateful I had him as my senior.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so Brandon, winners of U Sport.
Yeah.
Just walk us through that, like how?
It was crazy, honestly. Like, to paint the picture, we lost in our conference in quarters against Trinity. No, sorry. We lost against UBC, I think. And so, yeah, like we didn't make it to the championship through, like, I guess, the playoff way. Because in Canada West, you need a medal in order to make the U Sport Championship. But like I said before, the host gets a guaranteed spot. So we came in as the 8th seed, because we didn't qualify, we hosted. So we came in as the 8th seed. First, we played, oh gosh, it was a while now.
Manitoba.
No, not Manitoba.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Winnipeg.
We played University of Winnipeg, which was rank 1 in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And we beat them in 4, I think it was. And yeah, I mean, it was like, to be honest, like we knew we could do it, even though the seedings didn't represent it, because we played them in our regular season, like one of the last games. So it was like a good runway into the championships. And that weekend we split with them. So we won one of the games and we lost one of the games. So we knew we could do it. And when we did it in the tournament, it was just like, it was
unreal.
Yeah. But then we obviously had, in the semis, we had University of Saskatchewan. And that was like, in my opinion, like the most like craziest game.
Yeah.
Because we were down 2-0 and we reverse swept in order to win the semis. And it was just like, yeah. I don't even know. Like it was just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And then we had University of Alberta, which was ranked 2nd
In the finals.
And then we beat them in 4. And then at that moment, like all 3 teams, University of Alberta, University of Saskatchewan, and University of Winnipeg, in our regular season, because all 3 of them were in our conference, all 3 of them we split with in the conference. So it wasn't like, oh my God, like these guys are like out of a league. Like it was the complete opposite. It was like, we know we can beat them, and like we had everything to beat them. And I guess like in the tournament, we did it. And one of the big advantages that we don't see here actually is home crowd and home court advantage.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, I can't even like explain it. You just have to experience it.
Can I just say, I still remember the clip where a guy did a backflip.
Oh my god.
And he just like landed on someone.
Yeah, there's this, for context, there's this clip of when we won, I think in the second or third game, and this guy like runs on court after we win, and he tries to do like a running backflip, and then just like smokes this girl,
Take someone out
in the head, and it's just like, but like that's the level of energy that we had in the crowd, and like the entire, because Brandon isn't a big town, like it's relatively small, but we had like I want to say like everyone in the town watching it, and like yeah, for us as a program, like our community in Brandon is such a big part of our program. And yeah, like honestly, the championship isn't just the teams, like it's the entire towns.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we made history with that tournament.
Was
like,
that first
that was
U
our
Sport?
first U Sport
Wow.
championship. So yeah, super emotional about that.
And how did you celebrate it after?
A lot of beers. A lot of beers.
And you got a tattoo, right?
Yeah. So our team, we all got the date that we won nationals, like as a team tattoo. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's a tattoo to remember, like not just the championships. Obviously, that's a big part, but like the road leading up to that, and like all the work that we put in as a team, that like I put in. And yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah,
I think that's something that my team is going to aim for,
Yeah.
winning nationals, and hopefully you guys get a two-peat.
yeah. I'll have to get another one under it. Yeah, no,
Okay.
for sure.
But yeah, I feel like we've covered most things college
Yeah.
related. But Sam and I are definitely open to questions.
Yeah.
In terms of that kind of like the pathway, anything related to college, to be honest.
Yeah, or just, yeah, if you need help, whether it be like here, trying to get overseas, I mean, yeah, that's what Ignite is for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. So send us your questions.
Yeah.
All right.